All right, so welcome again to the live Q&A session of the Smart Leader program. The Smart Leader program is a 30-day program, as we call it, that turns smart learners into smart leaders. And this session is typically for those who are on the program, but we've also expanded it to incorporate others who are interested in the subject of leadership, who may have questions or issues in any area of leadership. At times, if you have any workplace challenges and you're looking for, some counsel on how to deal with them, then you can also take advantage of, this 1 hour session. But typically, the Smart Leader program is, as I said, for turning smart learners into smart leaders, and smart leaders into smarter leaders. And it runs for 30 days. Every day, those on the program get a 30-minute video that addresses specific areas of leadership. As it were, we tell a story about how to become a smart leader. So one day leads into others. Every day has a precise, specific, deep, pointed message. And I believe there are some of us already on the program, some who I think are probably getting towards the end of it. But anyone can start the program at any time. For those who may not be on the program, you can start today. You can start at any time and run the program over your own course of 30 days. So it is that flexible, and I believe it is also very cheap as well. So we're here again, and here is an opportunity for you to ask any questions on any of the videos you have watched, on any of the subjects that we have covered, to seek clarifications, also to give us feedback. Um, it's been a privilege, being the lead faculty on that program, so you can hold me responsible for anything that you've heard, and I think I'm able to explain or to provide greater insight, as the case may be. Like I always say, the session therefore is yours, isn't mine. I did mine by recording the sessions and, delivering on our promise. So it's for you now to take advantage of having a face-to-face interaction with me, to ask questions, to give some feedback or to draw, attention to any missing aspects or any new things that you would have loved to see in that program. So I welcome you once again, um, on behalf of EMET Leadership Academy, and my name is Sat16Jul2022. So you have the floor. Mrs. Akonji, you're welcome again today. Thank you always for your contributions and for all the assignments. It's been wonderful going through them. Shego, you are welcome. Also, Mr. K, you are welcome. This time I'm not going to mistaken you for my uncle. I think you've since cleared, that confusion, as it were, on my part. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
Mr. Laude, you are welcome as well. All right, so you do have the floor, ladies and gentlemen. What are your questions? Who wants to start off today? Let's make the best of it. The session is usually 1 hour. Um, so who wants? Others, I believe, will join us as we proceed. So who has any question? Who has any issue on leadership? Any leadership issues you may have, even if you are not yet on the program? Please feel free to set the ball rolling for us this evening. Okay, ma, Mrs. Akonji, Dr. Mrs. Akonji, you're welcome.
Thank you, Doctor. I just want to ask one question on how to handle the situation.
Okay, then.
If you have a very difficult conversation with a subordinate,
Yes.
the issues are very, very sensitive. And how do you go about it? You try to parry it, but you just, for you to be authentic, you have to come out straight, you
Yeah.
know, to that your subordinate.
Yeah.
But how do you? I'm experiencing it now. It I just started, but I put it into prayer how I will engage that my subordinate for this difficult issue.
Okay, do you want to, I know I mean, you don't want to, you don't have to go into the details of,
Yes, I don't want to go into the
yeah,
details,
but
but
can you give us a general idea of,
okay,
you know,
okay.
what is it, a personal issue? Is it sexual? Is it what kind, so that I know how?
It's not sexual.
Okay.
It is on the work issue,
Okay, it's on performance.
on performance,
Okay.
and not just performance, on um, what one can classify as I don't want to define it as plagiarization, but
Okay.
I want to look at it as um, creating a content that it is not his content.
Okay, so it's like using, assuming somebody else's work as though it were.
Yes, yes. And unfortunately, I had gone through that work before, and I know it, but my own superior officers seems to be clapping for him, and it did not
But
even
you know,
applaud.
it's not original.
I know, and but it's difficult for me because you know it had gotten above me, and he had gotten that accolade.
Yes.
It's difficult for me to now want to, I don't know how to describe it.
To discredit him,
Yes,
or to tell him to do the right thing, or to tell
to,
him that, look, I know this is not yours,
yes,
and this is
uh,
not right.
right. I have started talking to him,
Yeah.
but I'm still not hitting the thing on the
Yeah,
head.
the nail on the head.
Yes,
Oh,
sorry, I have cold.
okay. Sorry about that. All right. Yeah, I mean, um, so I hope we all get a sense of what the dilemma that you are facing. Somebody who works with you, who reports to you, does some work, and you know that this is not original to that person. This is, you have borrowed from what somebody else has done, or perhaps just reproduce what somebody else has done. But somehow it's gone beyond me, and it's, some of the superiors have seen it, and they are clapping for you, they are celebrating you, but you and I, that this is not right. How do we, deal in that situation? How does a leader deal in that situation? I think first of all, is that it it starts with the principles by which the leader has operated. This is one of the reasons why, as you would come to, or I believe you are still coming to that point, in the program, where we speak specifically to principles, and we challenge leaders, to think about what are the core principles by which you operate, by which you live. Are you a principled person? Do you conduct yourself, in relation to some principles? And more importantly, do those who you preside over, Do they understand the principles by which you operate? Because it's important that they understand what you stand for, and by implication, what you do not stand for. In addition, it's important that they understand why you stand for those things. So if you are a leader who is sold out on truth, if you're a leader who is, sold out on integrity, then, you know, you make it clear and you live by it. So you say it and ensure that a number of what you things you do, they are in line with what you are conveying. That way you are authentic in your conduct, okay, and it has a lot of benefits that it earns. Now, once you have those principles, it becomes easy to deal with a situation like you have outlined, because this situation borders on integrity. You can't present somebody else's work as though it were yours. And I think I understand where you're coming from. It is even more so when you are doing research. With research, there is what is called intellectual honesty, there is what is called academic integrity, which is, yes, you can use my work, but you must acknowledge that you have borrowed from my work. And the way you acknowledge that depends on whether you quote me verbatim or you don't quote me verbatim, but you're using, essentially thoughts that I have expressed formally in my own writings in the past. So to that extent, that's what is expected. So I understand you, ma. Now, that has to be your starting point. Yes, it's made a little bit complicated because the work has gone beyond you, but you still need to have that very difficult, seemingly difficult discussion. But it's only difficult, I think, because even though you may have lived according to that principle, your people haven't quite, that message has not been delivered to them in very strong terms. Because if they know what you stand for, that you stand for integrity, you do not encourage and you will not celebrate somebody, you know, presenting another's work as though it was theirs, then this discussion won't be as difficult, because your starting point, therefore, will be precisely that. That will be your starting point. Your starting point would be, look, I salute what you have done. You've done great work, but I need to be upfront with you. You know what I stand for. You have heard me say many times that talk about integrity, talk about the need, to be honest in terms of what we do. You know the nature of the work that we do. You know what gets one into trouble. You know what gets others to respect your work. And that's what I want to speak to. So when you call that person in for that discussion, your starting point will be the principles that you have conveyed and the principles that you have stood as an example of before their very eyes over time, so that you immediately put your discussion within context. So the person isn't seeing it as, a personal issue. The person isn't seeing you as just bringing up an issue where they think there is none. The person isn't thinking that you are trying to play down on the quality of their work or their significance, but you have, the person is able at least to appraise what you have to say within the context of, the principles by which you have lived. These kinds of discussions and situations, by the way, are difficult for people who have not lived according to any discerning set of principles. Those who walk with them have not known them to be principled people. And if you ask them, those who have walked with such leaders are not known, cannot identify specific principles by which, that those leaders have advocated. That's it becomes difficult. So where are you starting from? How does the person that you want to correct, how does the person appreciate your point of view? To what will the person be relating what you are saying? Okay, in terms of what you have put yourself forward as or to be over time. So usually there is a disconnect. Now the leader is trying to advance certain principles, and the leader hasn't been known to abide by the same principles or to, be a vanguard of such principles in the past. So that's where I think, that this discussion needs to start from, to, remind the person that that you are a person of principle, that you've tried to operate on the basis of such principles, possibly even to use examples, of what you have done that shows that, you have basically lived by those principles, and then to begin, to draw attention to what that person has written, that and the fact that and haven't done that, it is not going to be out of place to express, to even point out who and who had done that work, and maybe even if you have access to the materials, to draw the person's attention. Let the person know you are very vast with this, But most of all, I see your hand, so I'm coming to you shortly. But, after all of that correction, then you must be ready as well to offer, suggestions on how the situation can be redressed. You must be ready to offer, so that you are not just saying to the person, this is what you have done wrong, this is inappropriate, this, is something that you should try to avoid. These are the problems if you do things like this. But you're also saying, okay, so, this is what I would suggest that you do. And the person must be encouraged to withdraw the material, and to either properly acknowledge, the sources of the material. And if it's something that is not quite like a research work, is just wanting to take somebody else's work, is almost like copying somebody's assignment and wanting to submit, to pass it off as his or her, own assignment, then of course you have to get the person to withdraw it. Okay, let me hear from you, Let's hear from you. I see
Thank you, Doctor. I think you have you took the word out of my mouth, because like you keep saying authentic.
Yes.
Everybody in the team, they know my position. They know who I am.
Yes.
Because they know that I can stretch myself for their progress, and I can always help them if they are in need.
Yes.
But you see, you will always have one weak link in any team. That weak link that is there wants to be recognized
Yes.
by the authority,
Yes.
and it will take things above your head. Severally, I have, it's like a tug of war. I ask it, you are not the only one in this team, but you are the only one that wants to try my patience. And you know that I will not take it. This time around, you've gone over my head. Do you want me to go and fight my superior? I said, I said that much. I am not going to fight my superior officer. You will go now and withdraw that work.
Yes.
If you withdraw it, tell my boss that you have not shown me before you sent it up.
Yes.
So go and withdraw. I want to see it. So that's where we are. So
Okay, so it's not been withdrawn?
It's not yet been withdrawn. It's still dilly-dallying. But I am sure I'm going to be very strict. I'm going to be very strict on him.
If
he will withdraw,
what would you do?
If he doesn't withdraw, I will write a memo.
Okay.
I will put it on record. I will write a memo and I will attach that paper, the original,
yes,
of that subject matter,
yes,
with that my memo complaining about it. So it's on record.
yes.
And they know that I like to put things on record. But he's just one difficult person that likes to try my patience. And I have tried as much as possible to encourage him, to make him understand that life is not like this. It can't continue like this.
Who would your memo be addressed to?
My superior, the next person to me who got the paper and started parading the paper, commenting on the paper.
What will he get? He won't get any memo from you.
He will. I mean, I will query him. After querying him, that query, I will attach it to the memo that I'm sending up, that I have given this query to Mr. A because of 1, 2, 3 items and 1, 2, 3 things that he had done.
Yes.
For example, he has submitted a report to you that is like plagiarizing, and I will attach that study. I will attach it to that memo. I will send a copy of the memo query that I'm giving him, because it seems not to be. It's not, his body language is like, what can you do?
Okay,
because
so
he likes to be relating with people at the top, and he's the only one.
That's okay.
He's the only one.
That's okay. All right, you just want to focus on the issue. My suggestion would be that before you write the memo to your superior, that you issue him. You wait, first of all, give him maybe the next 24, 48 hours to carry out your instruction, that is to withdraw the paper, which is, I agree with you, is the right thing to do. And if he does not do that, if you don't get it, you call him, you ask for it. Have you carried out my instruction? Where have you withdrawn the paper? And if he hasn't done that at that point, that would be a good point to then give a query. And please don't write to your superior before he replies the query, so that your memo to your superior can be all encompassing. So you give him the opportunity to explain what he has done. After he explains, you then state exactly what your position is, and then you write to your superior, stating what the issue is, asking specifically to withdraw that paper for the reasons that you have cataloged. And of course, that has to be very professional. No superior will support, no superior in their right mind will support plagiarism or anything close to it. And so you wait to see what your superior would do, and depending on your superior's reaction, we'll then know how to take it from there. Does
Thank
that
you very
sound
much.
fine, ma?
Thank you.
All right, ma. But people like that, by the way, tend to do that, maybe because they have some senior people, they have like some godfathers or godmothers, as the case may be,
Godfather.
within the organization. So when you know that there are people like that, you also want to be, smarter, and to be on one's toes, and ensure that process is properly followed. They almost always get themselves into trouble, especially when they know that you as well, you are not a pushover, at least maybe not politically, but in terms of in terms of being able to hold your own, as a high flyer or as a performer within the organization. All right, thank you. Okay, so that's I hope everyone has something to take away from that experience, from Dr. Akonji's question. Dr. Akonji, by the way, is currently on that program. I think she's on day 4, day 5. Um, and she's been very diligent in submitting her assignments, and I think I've learned a lot as well from her submissions. Once again, thank you, ma. So, who else has questions, on... Uh, all right, I see Stella. Stella, you are welcome. Please go ahead and ask your question. You have the floor. Thank you for joining us today. Is the live Q&A.
Doctor, thank you very much. It's the very first time I'm listening to your program. I've emotionally been down. I've had series of invitation from your end to join your program.
Okay, sorry about. Well, I hope you are. I hope you are better today. Thanks for joining us. We're not hearing you. It appears.
The network is bad.
Yeah, sorry. I think you're having network issues, Stella. Sorry, I think Stella was having some issues. Okay, maybe she'll try to connect again. Uh, all right, we still have others in the class. Your questions, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Oni, you're welcome. Mr. Olushola, you're welcome. I hope it's Mr. But
Thank you, sir. Good evening,
Mr.
everybody.
Ido, you're welcome. Sorry, Mr. Oni, I think that the number I gave the last time was missing one number. Uh, it was later that I was looking at the chat that I discovered that it was missing one number. I'm sorry about that. I know
Thank you, sir.
you had requested my number. Okay, so I have put the right number in the chat. I don't know whether you tried to reach me. You wouldn't have been able to reach me using the number I gave. The number is 11, but I think last week I had just one. Um, so please feel free, if you still have the need to know about, to reach me on Office Politics, we can talk about that. All right, so we still have some time. Your issues, any questions on, it can be what you are facing personally at work, any leadership issues, any puzzles. you have the opportunity of raising them here. Okay, so I think Stella is back. I hope her connection is okay this time. Hello, Stella, can you hear us? We couldn't hear you until you were disconnected. I hope you can hear. If you can hear, you can unmute yourself, please, and speak.
Hello, doctor.
Yes.
Hello.
Please go ahead. We can hear you, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, just like what I said earlier,
We didn't hear you for the most part. Yes.
The right time, but fortunately, I wasn't stable to attend. Oh, okay. So let me start from the beginning. I said, no, your invitation for me to attend this leadership program is. Hello?
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Hello, doctor.
We can hear you, ma. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. I said yeah. So as I said, it came at the right time, especially when there is a leadership transition. I was faced with a lot of challenges, especially wherein my previous my predecessor left and the new boss came in, and it became an issue of having different leadership style, or rather experiencing a different leadership style. And doctor, a lot of challenges I encountered is a issue of I am known for smartness.
Yeah,
I'm very smart and very. I may not be intelligent, but too intelligent. But I consider myself as somebody who's been able to mix smartness and diligence into my work.
yes.
And because of that, and I'm very proactive, I don't allow things to crystallize, especially when I know I'm supposed to do the right thing at the right time. Yes. So, yeah, seeing those features in me, it seems like the new leader is being, seeing me as a threat. And then all the structures put in place were unturned by the new administration. And I felt so bad. So at the time, I had wanted to say, I don't know what to do. Is it to back out or to confront the situation the way it is, or to make this person know that, look, we already have a policy in place. Leadership is all about continuity. It's not to come and disregard already laid down procedure in an organization. Yes. So a lot of challenges I was faced with. But at the time, I discovered that it's not about, I think it's a complex issue. I discovered about the person. That is a complex issue because the person is coming from a background where mostly is civil service rules, procedures that unnecessary, follow unnecessary procedure in taking certain decisions. Yeah. And then after considering that it's a complex issue, I also discovered that it's somebody who is also given to gossip. And when I've considered all these factors, I know that it's somebody I can't withstand no matter the circumstances. So I was able to manage the situation, or not until recently, I was redeployed now from where I am to another place. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say, doctor, your program is coming at the right time where I actually needed someone who will put me through and who also guide me from the previous. I've never had such experience wherein a leader I'm looking up to, or somebody I expected that will continue from the administration of the former what's it called, leadership. Yes. But rather giving to gossip and using my subordinates to attack me. So I look at it as a period of I'm faced with a lot of challenges. So, doctor, for those who have encountered similar view and how they were able to come out of it.
All right, thank you very much. I think you brought up very important and interesting issues. Okay. And well, the first thing that I like people usually to, that you must understand is, you see, it's very easy when people talk about leadership, they try to tell you that the leader, shouldn't use authority, but the leader should just try and ensure that they get the buy-in of their followers, and that should be the source of their authority. And that is right, but to an extent. First of all, in the kinds of situations that you have described, where there is a hierarchy, where leadership is more defined by an appointment, okay, to a position or a seat, you often have authority or power that goes with that seat. When a new person comes on the scene, one of the things that everybody should remember is that the person is now the one in the saddle. Yes, you may want continuity, but that's only an expectation. If you don't get continuity, what do? It doesn't mean that that person is wrong. Okay, it may just be that the style of the person is different. So every time there's a change of leadership, all right, remember, a time could come when a pharaoh, mounts the throne, who does not know Joseph. That means whenever there is a new leader, everybody needs to reset. Reset in the sense that this is a new relationship. Okay, the person doesn't know you, or may not know you, and so there has to be a process of trying to understand who this person is, trying to understand what style this person is going to operate, trying to even see whether this person in what ways this person will be different from the person that you have worked with before, so that can influence how you work. But if you are not patient enough to recognize the fact that the music has changed, the dance steps may need to change, you can give yourself a lot of headache. Now, some leaders will come in, and I'm not justifying what the person came and started pulling down structures. No, I'm saying that for you as the one who is looking up, who is being supervised by that person, this is what you need to do. All right? Some leaders come in, and what they try to do is to quickly make their impact felt. And they may think that the way to make their impact felt is by dismantling some of the existing structures, and trying to, establish their own way of doing things erroneously. But if you understand that there are some leaders who would come in like that, and that those kinds of things can happen when there is a change of leadership, you will know better how to manage those kinds of changes, and indeed those kinds of leaders. Those kinds of leaders, allow them time. All right? Now, allow them time so that they can vex their authority. Give them respect so that they can feel more at home. It's a way of calming them down. Because if it is the case that what they are trying to do is to show that, look, I'm the one calling the shots, although that's not the way to go about it, when you don't give them any reason to challenge the authority, when you don't give them any reason to rebuff what they are trying to do, even although you don't agree with it, they will soon quickly calm down. They will soon calm down. All right? And because they see after all that, look, nobody's challenging you. So what's all this about? We're with you. We're on your side. You understand? But the moment you start trying to react to what they're doing, the moment you start trying to make them feel as if they're not doing the right thing, or you know, it's like you are challenging their leadership status. And when that happens, you worsen the matter. Because already, if the leader were a smart leader or a matured leader, they would not react like that. Matured leadership or smart leaders do not come in and they are just trying to shake everything up. A leader also, when you get into a situation, the first thing you want to establish is how things have been running. Okay? And one of the first things you must begin to do is to convey who you are to the people that you met. All right? And to refrain from criticizing the one that you have taken over from. All right? There are ways of introducing your own style when you find that some things you can do them better or you prefer them to be done in a different manner. There are more, diplomatic ways of introducing them without being seen to be enforcing them. And that's what a smarter leader would do. Okay? But now, you on the part of the one who is following, you also have to exhibit smartness. And indeed, when you have gone through like a program such as the one we've been talking about, as a smart leader, you see, a lot of what we deal with in the smart leader program is to show how a leader really, relates with his or her people. And so that program focuses the leader on the essence of leadership, which is the follower. The leader is not the essence of leadership. The follower is the essence of leadership. And it is the leader sets himself or herself up to succeed when they recognize that and they focus attention on the follower. So when you go through a program like that, where we get you have a deep understanding of these critical insights. When you are dealing with a leader, it's easier for you, all right, to better navigate that relationship. Why? Because you have been trained to look at what matters, which is the follower. So there is what you expect from your leader. And when you are not getting it, there is a way to react as well. One, without making the leader feel uncomfortable, encouraging the leader to do right, suggesting to the leader that, there is no talk of war here. And there shouldn't be. Even if I don't believe that you should be the leader. But as long as the institution has designated you as leader, the immediate responsibility I have is to see how I can work with you, all right, to achieve the goals of the organization and your goals, and to a large extent, my goals as well. But I'm not going to put my goals ahead when a new leader comes in the saddle until I have studied who he or she is and how he or she wants to approach this leadership assignment. Then I begin to weigh what my options are and how I want to play in that context. So ultimately it was good that you left, but I think that the situation wasn't such as you should have given yourself a lot of headache for. I think when there is a change, most times you maintain your cool, you watch to see how things will transpire, and you, as much as possible, even if you disagree with some of what the new person is doing, show that you are willing to cooperate. All right, show that you are willing to cooperate is one of the very first things you must do, because many people can feel insecure, can feel inferior, like you said, and that can prompt them to take in some of these actions that look odd, but they think is the right thing in their circumstance, and that they're just trying to assert themselves, as the ones who are in charge. I hope that is helpful and speaks to your situation, Madam. I would recommend that you get on the Smart Leader program formally. There is a lot more that I have said that you would find, in the program. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a 30-day program. If you're on it, you get me speaking to a subject every day over 30 days, and you can listen to it at your time. There's an assignment at the close of every day that you are requested to submit based on what is dealt with. One day leads into the other, so all the 30 days are connected. It's one story that we're telling, and a story that will lead to clarity about what leadership truly entails, and what it truly means to be a smart leader, and not just a smart learner or a smart worker. So that's it. I see Mr. Olatokunbo. I hope again is Mr. Pardon me in case it is Mrs. How do you manage boardroom and open office politics at every level? Sir, you won't believe how wide your question is. That question is so broad. If I begin to speak to that subject, we won't live here in the next 3 hours. That's a question that, this question, if I were to answer it, you will need 7 days of attending 2 or 3 hour classes, and we have a program like that. I think that's what Mr. Oni was asking about last week. But we do have a program like that. Actually, I also have a program coming up that is titled Making Office Politics Work for You. Making Office Politics Work for You. Essentially, that's what you are asking about. There are a lot of things to consider when you are talking about office politics, beginning from what it truly means. Because one of the things I found out, and many people have found out as well, after I think training over 1,000 people on this subject at different levels, is that we often have a different understanding of what we mean by office politics. And the average person looks at office politics as being something negative, almost like our national sort of politics. And so there is that bias. People get agitated, people are annoyed, some people believe that, this is absolute nonsense, this is draining, why should anybody allow, politics and all of that. So we first have to settle on what office politics is. Many times it is not what you think it is not what you are referring to. Okay, it is a tip of the iceberg, and typically it is not negative, it has no coloration, and it shouldn't be so seen. However, it is so imperative that anyone who likes his or her career and wants to get far at work had better pay attention to it, had better develop a more than casual understanding of what it entails, had better learn what it takes to win and to make everyone comfortable, there is a way to play and win without losing your soul or selling your soul or feeling any, any remorse about getting in the game and playing. And I recall that in some of those classes, you will see what it entails. I've had even people who are like believers, who are Christians, who are Muslims, who have attended and spoken to the fact that, office politics is not against anybody's faith. You don't refrain from getting involved in the politics of the office because you are a Christian. Maybe it does not conflict with your faith. I'm a Christian, and I say that with I say that with a lot of with all seriousness, and I prove it, and people see that, oh, you mean this is what it is. So it's very important, and if I may say, it is settled in the research that political intelligence is the most predictive factor of a successful career. You want to see somebody who succeeded in their career, they need to be politically savvy or politically intelligent. People don't succeed just because they are high flyers, they are performers, they meet their KPIs. Many meet KPIs and they only go so far. Why? There is far more about getting to the height of your career, making progress, getting what you want, all right, being respected, mastering influence and power in the workplace than just delivering on your assignment. Much more, far much more. So I would encourage you, just like Mr. Timioni. It's not that I can't speak to the issue. I've given you a very broad stuff, but I mean, to be fair, if you are, the program I talked about is even a new program that I'm hoping to hold in another 2 or 3 weeks. I think, if I look at the dates very well, I think it's 2nd or 3rd week of August, and it's over a period of 7 days. It holds at night, every day for 2 hours, and I will walk through, by the time you are done, you understand office politics, in very, not just what it entails, what it means, but how to play it. And we will speak, of course, to the board issues, we will speak to power sources, we will speak to leverage, okay, because it's very important. We will show what you lose depending on what your attitude is, all right, to that subject, at the workplace. You would hear how people have suffered, you would see how, what differences it had made in the life of the people. And it's something, by the way, that I have seen practically over my 30 years plus of being in different, institutions, big and small, okay, corporate and non-corporate. So anyhow, and it's something that exists everywhere. It's not, it exists in the church, it exists in the mosque, it exists in NGOs, it exists in government, it exists in your private sector, companies. It's everywhere, and part of why it is like that would be seen when one is exposed to the study of how organizations run, which are some of the things that we'll cover in that program. Part of what that program also entails is what I call you know, your winning workplace etiquette. There's a way to conduct yourself at the workplace, you know, that stands you in good stead. And people don't know it. You know, there are demands you should make, there are demands you should never make. Because without you knowing, you think you are trying to protect your interest or you're asking for what is due to you. You don't know that by so doing, you are undermining yourself. You are pulling the rug from under your feet. And these are the, you know, issues. When you talk about boardroom and all of that, some people don't even know where the power exists. They don't know who exactly is calling the shots. All right? And you need to know who is calling the shots. You may have an MD CEO and he may not be the one calling the shots. It may not be the one calling the shots. You know, he may carry the title. He may be the one that speaks. All right? But the one who is truly calling the shots may be elsewhere. And if you don't know, then you'll be facing the MD. You won't know that the MD is to all intents and purposes powerless and that you should be facing somebody else. You know, and you may be shocked at who you should be facing because that person may be the one just calling the shots. So these are all the things that we look at, and I'm just being, you know, upfront with you and being straightforward about it. It's not, you know, a question that one can speak to just like that. And you did say at every level, so you can imagine. But there's so much to cover. Please reach out to me if you're interested in being a part of that program. You know, I'd let you know. And you can, my number I stated earlier on, just to facilitate that, so I've put it there again. You can send me a WhatsApp message. For now, I can be reached on WhatsApp because I'm not available locally, you know, but we can still have very credible discussions on this subject, depending on your interest. Okay, sorry, I don't quite understand what you said here. QI to EI to PI, you know, maybe I'm not, you know, I'm not that touche with those abbreviations. So if you want to help me with the abbreviations, I guess perhaps you may be referring to different levels, but you can just throw more light on that. Okay, while we're still at it, do we have any other questions? Oh yes, boardroom politics is a big issue. How I wish there are people who will take it. Yes, that's my number, that's it. Yeah, it's a big issue. It's an issue that everybody should take seriously. And the more challenging the environment, please, the more you should take it seriously. Because when the environment gets tough, pressure comes upon all these organizations. Before you know it, you know, they're talking about laying off people and all of that. And one of the things that you find with layoffs is that the wrong set of people tends to be laid off, you know, just for the reason of office politics, because they don't have people who can, you know, who can speak for them, and they don't have structures that can protect them. And that's, you know, and it's not the responsibility of the organization to do that for anybody. It's the responsibility of each person to take that, you know, to work out their own salvation, as it were, to work out their own salvation. Okay, so I've seen it. Quotient intelligence to emotional intelligence to political intelligence. All right, great. Yeah, but you know, the most important one in all of the ones that you have mentioned is political intelligence. And a bit of that, of emotional intelligence, is subsumed under the political intelligence. But again, you know, the connection between the three can be explained. You will see how and where they fit in, and you will see why political intelligence is still the predominant or preeminent, type of intelligence that anyone who is serious about their career, must take the pains to develop. Must take the pains, to develop. All right. Yes, you are right, Mr. K. Politics come in at every level of human endeavor, not only in office, as rightly mentioned. Yeah, and but there's a reason why it is. Not just because you are dealing with people, but also because there is something at stake. Anytime there is something at stake, there is politics. Every time there is something at stake, there is that dynamics, that if you have that understanding, you will, if you have not wired yourself or trained yourself or built your capacity to play, you will feel bad that, oh, so this is what this thing is all about, and I haven't taken it seriously thus far. And you would acknowledge that if anything has worked against you in the office, it will be because you didn't take responsibility, for your own future, not because anybody is against you. Okay. There is only so much that the organization can do for anybody, and people should not kid themselves, thinking that the organization will protect your interest. The only person who has the responsibility to protect his or her own interest, okay, without any doubt, is your good self. Every other person, it may be their responsibility, but if they don't do it, you can't hold them, you can't sue them. All right, you would only have yourself to blame. That's how it goes. All right, so that's it. Do we have any other questions? We've done 1 hour already. I could take a last question if anybody wills, if you have any urgent thing. Otherwise, it's still next week. And like I said, if you have if you want to reach out to me, if you have any issues, you can do so. I have had people, even who have gone through the, office politics programs or the leadership programs, who have come back because they had one situation or the other that turned out to be crucial, and they needed, some counsel or support to be able to handle such situations. That's the kind of opportunity that these kinds of sessions, afford you. All right, so once again, I think it's time to close if there is no other question. This is the Smart Leader Program. You may have been receiving emails from EMET Leadership Academy, or it will read something like Olatunji at EMET. It's still from EMET Leadership Academy. Here we teach leadership and we nurture leaders on the basis of truth. So our byline is leadership nurtured by truth. This is coming to you, as part of our 30-day program, the Smart Leader Program. The Smart Leader Program is 30 days of very insightful and incisive material taken at your own convenience. You can start any day. For those who are interested in it and who want to know the cost comes to 1,000 naira per day for 30 days. Those who have gone through it or who are going through it, are in a better position to tell you what value it offers. But we certainly know that that's a giveaway, really, but it's because it's introductory. So you may want, if you're interested, to avail yourself of that program. You'd have, for every day there is a message. You are focusing on one particular subject and drilling down every day over 30 days. At the end of each video, you have an assignment, there's a question to answer relating to the subject of the day, and you're also supposed to be working on what we call a personal change plan, which means that as you learn, as your eyes are open to certain areas of your own conduct of leadership, you are seeing things you need to change, areas you need to work on, additional skills you need to develop, and so you can put all of that together, in a document as the kind of agenda that you want to pursue, after the course that helps to strengthen your ability to lead, that makes you a smarter leader. That's what the program is about. This is the live question and answer session. We hold it every Saturday. It's an integral part of the program, even though for now we open it up to others, to take advantage of. And here the idea is whatever you have gone through in the material, in the course, you can come at the weekend and have a one-to-one interaction with me and raise those issues, seek clarifications, or even give us feedback, which we truly, appreciate. So I want to thank you for joining us this evening. For those who have attended, we'll be sending you a replay of the video. Usually the sessions are recorded so that you can have access to them. I think between now and close of business on Monday, you will have access in your own email. So be on the lookout, and you can feel free as well, encourage your friends or colleagues or others that you believe can, take advantage of this kind of session. They are free to join us using the same link that you have used. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and God bless you.